Okay, we're talking linear equations. So we've learned about this form, y equals ax plus b, or you might have heard it called y equals mx plus b. A and b are just placeholders for numbers right now. So they're just the variables that we're using. They could be any letters. And we learned that a represents the slope or the rate of change of the linear relation. And then we learned that b is the y-intercept. So this is called slope-intercept form. I think it's super handy. This form right here, slope-intercept form. Why is it so handy? It tells us like the key information, like the slope and the y-intercept. Those are two key features of a linear relation that usually they're the features that you want to know. So this is a super handy equation, a super handy form of an equation. But there is a few other ways you could represent equations. So this way is called standard form, and it looks like this: ax plus by equals c. You might also see it written with the c on the other side, and then the equation equal to 0. That could be called standard form as well. And it's just the slope-intercept form rearranged in a different way. So let me show you. You got to use your algebra skills to kind of rearrange things. Okay, so let's say we had an equation like y equals 2x plus 5. So that's in slope-intercept form. You can see the slope is 2 and the y-intercept is 5. All right, let's say I wanted to change this into standard form. So I want it to look more like ax plus by equals, equals c. And it doesn't matter. Okay, never mind. Let's do it. Okay, wait, actually, I do want to tell you this. So this guy right here, I've always been taught that a has to be positive. So I'm just going to keep it going. So let's say a always should be positive here. It's just better form. It's not like it has to be the case, but okay. So I'm going to leave my 2x on the right side of the equation. And I know I want my y to be over there on the right beside the x. So I'm going to subtract y from both sides. So that will just actually eliminate it from the left, and it will appear on the right side of my equation as now 2x minus y. And then this plus 5 here, I don't want that there. I want that on the other side. So I'm going to subtract it because I know 5 minus 5 will be 0. And then it will appear on the left side as negative 5. So I've just simply by subtracting stuff, I just rearranged my equation. So now it is in standard form. And I know I have negative 5 equals 2x minus y. But I could also write it as 2x minus y equals negative 5. Like, it doesn't matter which side of the equals sign they go on. I mean, it's the same thing. So that's how you could write it in standard form. Okay, let me show you how to go the other way. Okay, let's say we had an equation in standard form. So let's say we had 5x plus 3y, 3y equals 9. So here we have an equation in standard form. And I want to know what the slope and the y-intercept are. So I'm going to rearrange it so that it looks like this form. Y equals ax plus b. Because that will help me figure out the slope and the y-intercept. Okay, so if I do that, I kind of want to keep this here, but I want to move the x to the other side. So I'm going to subtract 5x from both sides. So that'll leave me with 3y equals, now I will have negative 5x, and then I'll still have that positive 9. So I'll put plus 9. But yeah, I totally eliminated those guys. Or that guy. Okay, anyways. It almost looks like this slope-intercept form. except it's got a 3 in front of the y. So how do I get rid of that 3 in front of the y? I got to divide each thing by 3. So then I find out, so 3 divided by 3 is just 1, so those guys can cancel out, and I'll just be left with a y. And then my slope will just be negative 5 over 3x. And then 9 divided by 3 is just 3. So this would be my answer. After I rearranged everything, now I can see that the slope of this equation is negative 5 over 3. That's the slope. And I can see that the y-intercept is 3. And I would 100% leave this guy as a fraction. Don't write it as a decimal. It's nice to have the slope as a fraction. Okay, so that's how you could like kind of go back and forth between different forms of an equation. I'm going to do another one. If you feel like you've had enough, feel free to stop it. Okay, I'm going to do 4x minus 2y equals 12. I'm going to put this in slope-intercept form. Okay. So let's say I want to leave my minus 2y on the left side, although I could pop it onto the right side. Doesn't matter. I'm going to leave it there. So I'm going to subtract 4x from both sides. So that way I can get rid of those guys. So now I'm left with negative 2y equals, I'll have a negative 4x and a positive 12. Okay, the only thing in my way now is that negative 2. I just want the y to be alone. So now I got to divide every term by negative 2. Okay, so my negative 2 divided by negative 2 is just 1, leaving me with 1y. And then my slope is going to be negative 4 divided by negative 2, which I know is positive 2x. And then I have positive 12 divided by negative 2, which I know will be negative 6. So this is my equation in slope-intercept form. So I know that my equation has a slope of 2 and a y-intercept of negative 6. So that's how I could rearrange an equation. And it's definitely helpful to be able to rearrange stuff because knowing the slope and y-intercept is important. Okay, last one. In case you could pause it and like try it. Well, I'm trying it. Okay, let's say we have y equals, I'm going to do a weird one. 3 over 4x plus 12. Okay, so for standard form, I want to get the x and y on one side and the constant on its own. Okay, so let's just say I left my 3 over 4x on the right side. I'm happy with it there. But I want this guy to be on the right side. Okay, so I'll subtract it from the left, so that'll go away. That means I have to subtract it on the right. So now it's a minus y on the right. And I also want this plus 12 to get out of the right side. So I'm going to subtract it on the right side, so they'll be gone. That means I have to subtract it on the left side. Okay, so I just rearranged it in one step. It's good to go. If you prefer to have it like 3 over 4x minus y equals negative 12, you can write it like that. It's the same thing, doesn't matter. It's like an equation saying 3 equals 3 is the same thing as saying 3 equals 3. You know, you can move things, doesn't matter. Okay, cool. That's a bad example. Okay, the only thing is, if you want to get technical, having something in standard form, remember how I was saying a has to be positive? Okay, well, it's also nice if a is an integer. Actually, no, I take that back, because we don't want a to be negative. So it's actually nice if a is a whole number, if we're getting picky. So let's say we didn't want this to be a fraction anymore. Okay, cool. If I don't want that to be a fraction, I want to multiply this term I want to multiply it by 4. Because I know that like 4 times 3 would be 12, and then 12 divided by 4 would just be 3. So really what I'm doing is I end up canceling the 4s out. But I can't just randomly multiply a term by 4. I have to multiply every term by 4. You kind of learned this when you were solving equations with fractions. Okay, so I'm multiplying everything by 4. And I'm just doing that because 3/4 multiplied by 4 would just be 3. So that first term would become 3x. And yay, now I've made a whole number, which I wanted. Now my negative y will become minus 4y. And my negative 12 will become negative 48. So these equations are equivalent, like this guy and this guy. It's just, I don't know, this one's prettier or something. So that's it. That's how you can convert between slope-intercept and standard form. And those aren't like the only two forms of an equation. You could write an equation in a bunch of different ways, and you can always rearrange it. Like maybe there's an equation that says like 2x equals 3y plus 4. Okay. I don't have a name for that, but that could happen. And you can always just rearrange it. If that doesn't work for you, all right, I'm going to put my 4 on the other side. So I'm going to subtract 4 from both sides. So 2x minus 4 equals 3y. Now maybe I'll divide everything by 3. So 2 over 3x minus 4 over 3 equals y. Now it's in slope-intercept form. So you can always rearrange equations. There's many different forms, and you can use your algebra techniques to rearrange any of them.